Hey there, beautiful people. It's Dina bringing another daily dose. Have you ever felt like motherhood felt more like war, or your marriage felt like a battlefield? I have definitely been there, and that's really the premise behind why I started Specially Empowered Moms. It was really to help equip and empower moms to rise above the difficult circumstances that life can sometimes throw at us, but also to help you to understand that the real enemy that is trying to kill, steal, and destroy families and marriages is not your spouse. It's not your children. It's not your family. There is an enemy that wants to take away the family structure that God designed, because I believe that a family, especially a marriage, that is surrendered to God, their kingdom marriage, is a powerful weapon against darkness. So why would you think that the enemy would not try to destroy that? So many times we are in this world and we see that marriages are struggling and families are struggling, and it feels like a battlefield. It feels like we're in a war, because we actually are in a war. We are in a spiritual war. In the physical, it might not look like a war, but sometimes in our hearts and sometimes in our spirits, it feels like a war. It feels like no matter what you do, you just can't seem to gain any ground. And that's really the premise behind what it is that I do, is to empower you, to help you to step into the God-given role of a mom and a wife, but you must understand your true identity first. Your identity is rooted in Christ. And when you understand that, you know that you're loved deeply and that your identity is not a mom or a wife. Those are roles that you have, but that's not where your true identity is. Then you can truly understand how to take up your authority and wield the right sword against the right enemy, and not fight against your spouse and not fight against your kids. So if you're a mom out there that is feeling defeated and you feel like your life feels more like war, and you can't seem to find the peace and the joy in the midst of the difficult circumstances, or as I sometimes say, the chaos, you can't find that. That's really what this is about. So I've shared many times on this channel what Specially Empowered Moms is, so I'm going to quickly explain that. So a Specially Empowered Mom is somebody who understands who she is. She knows whose she is. So she understands that she is the daughter of the King. She knows her identity. She knows it's rooted in God. She has partnered with God, and she has learned how to take up her authority against the real enemy that is trying to kill, steal, and destroy her family. Now, that does not mean that she doesn't have a battle that she's still fighting. She just understands the foundation of who she is, and she knows how to operate within that spirit realm as the gatekeeper of her home, as somebody that is standing guard and watch over her home. But she first has to heal herself. She first has to go in and deal with all the stuff that the enemy has spent years trying to destroy her and make her feel less than, and make her feel unqualified and not equipped for the job. That's how I felt. I felt like no matter what I did, it was never good enough. I honestly felt that way most of my life, and it was not because my parents said that or people in my life said that. I just felt that way. I just felt like I could never meet the standards. I could never match what I wanted to do. I just couldn't get to that place of feeling satisfied with my life. Now that comes, again, from not knowing who you are, not understanding that we were designed and created and knit together for a purpose by the creator of the universe. So when you don't know that, you're just kind of aimlessly walking through life, then you're letting life dictate to you your identity and who you are. So I've spent years and years working on my inner self and trying to understand that, but that doesn't mean I still don't walk through a battle. I've been sharing recently about that I'm walking through another transition, and I don't know why there's things I'm still dealing with. There's still things that I'm struggling with, and I'm like, I thought I was past this already. I don't get why I'm still feeling this way, or why it feels like sometimes I'm even going backwards, because we are in a war. We are in a battle, and there is an enemy that does not want you to gain ground at all. So think about it in the form of an actual war. And you've got soldiers that are on the battlefield. So sometimes the battle is intense. There's warfare, and there's bombs and missiles going off around them, and they're trying to hold their ground. And then there's times where they're back in their camp and they're trying to recuperate and rest and maybe even spend a little bit of time entertaining each other or whatever, but then they got to get back to the battle. So there's times where the battle is fierce. They don't have any time to be wasting, with entertainment, and they may not even be able to have good quality rest or nourishment. But then there's times where the battle subsides a little bit, and then they are able to find some time to recuperate and rest and even enjoy each other's company. That's kind of what's going on in our real life. There are times and seasons where it seems like things are kind of calm. Things actually seem like they look better. But if we forget the fact that we're actually in a war and we let our guard down, so if these soldiers didn't remember that they're actually in a war and they spent too much time just trying to rest and recuperate and chill out and, as I say, get those dopamine hits and just watch and scroll on social media, that kind of life, then you're not going to be prepared when the enemy comes in and attacks. Now, I don't want anybody to feel like they have to be on guard and, like life can't be enjoyable. That's not it. God came to, Jesus came to give us life and give us abundantly. But the enemy came to steal, kill, and destroy. So we have to remember that we always have to be on guard. We always have to be the watchmen of what's going on around us and the gatekeepers of our home. So my role as a coach or a mentor to help somebody that is walking through that is to help them to understand how to walk in that God-given authority and know their identity and know how to thrive, heal those areas of their own heart and their own trauma so that they can thrive. Because when a mom is not thriving, her house is not thriving. And I get that could possibly be the same case with men or fathers or husbands, but I'm not one of those. I'm a mom and a wife. I'm a woman, so I speak from that experience. So if you are a man that's watching this message does go for you too. You do have to heal your inner self and your inner child, and you got to understand your identity, and you got to know how to wage war for your family against the real enemy, which is not your wife, and it's not your kids, it's not your boss, it's not your finances or whatever it is that you might be walking through. So that's really what a specially empowered mom is. And honestly, my ultimate goal is specially empowered families. But before we even get to that place, we've got to go into the depths of what our life is and what it isn't, what's working, what's not working. I share that a lot. So part of my mission in Specially Empowered Moms is I have a podcast called Junk Drawer Mamas, and I share this with my co-host Christina, and her and I are both specially empowered moms. We've walked through the battle, we're still in the battle, but we very intentionally navigate through these seasons of our life. It's no longer that life has control of us. We are now intentionally seeking the Father. We are partnering with Holy Spirit, and we allow Jesus to be Lord over our life, and we partner with him in this role as a mom and a wife. It's a very intentional way of living. If you let that go and you let that get away from you, then it can take its toll on you and it could start to come back. And so I think part of that is what I've been dealing with, is that maybe there were some things I was neglecting. So let's go back to the junk drawer. What I was just saying, our podcast is called the Junk Drawer Mamas. And that really represents life. So our goal is to ultimately be the specially empowered mom that can understand how to partner with God, and she knows who she is and all of that. But we first have to go through the junk drawer. We live in the junk drawer, okay? Sometimes our life feels like a junk drawer. It's just one thing after the other. So if you think of a junk drawer, sometimes it's a junk drawer house, you know what I'm saying? But think of a junk drawer. It's filled with all kinds of stuff, hodgepodge, mixed up stuff. Things that you're like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't know how to deal with that. I don't even know how that got in there. What is that? Those kind of things. We all have those drawers that are like that. And you just keep shutting the drawer. But eventually you have to deal with it. Or you have to clean it up so you can actually find something. That kind of represents our heart. That represents our mindsets and our habits, our behaviors, all of that. That's what the junk drawer represents. So each week we take one of those items in the junk drawer and we start digging through it together. And we start healing that together, because what is hidden can't be healed. You can't become a specially empowered mom if you're living in the junk drawer and you're not dealing with your stuff. How well do we operate when there's clutter all around us? And I'm definitely one of those people that the outside exterior kind of looks like it's all neat and tidy, but I've got everything hidden. That's really where the junk drawer idea came from, is that we hide all the stuff we don't want anyone to see. So I'm the one that has the boxes that are hidden away, or the room that the door is shut that I don't want anyone to see, but I try to present it to look like, oh, everything is good and my life is never messy. And that's not really true. Our lives are messy, and our emotions are messy, and just motherhood and being a wife is messy. Honestly, my walk with God is messy sometimes. A lot of times I'm battling with him because I don't understand the assignment, or I don't understand why I'm still struggling, as I've shared recently. But there comes a point where you look at your clutter around you and say, okay, today I'm dealing with this. Okay, this is one for Christina if she's watching. She's one of those people that's like, I'm blocking out the weekend and no one's going to interrupt this. I'm not answering phone calls. I'm not answering text messages. And we are cleaning out this garage, or we are cleaning this basement, and we are finally going to get this done because I can't deal with it anymore. Some people are like that. Some people are like, oh, I'm going to work on it a little bit each day. As long as I make a little bit of progress, then I'm okay. I'm kind of both. Sometimes I work a little bit. Sometimes I'm like that, where, okay, enough's enough. I can barely even walk around here. Things are starting to get in disarray. My office looks like that right now because I've been very busy creating content. So there's a lot of stuff that has been neglected. But then there comes a point, it's like, I can't neglect this anymore because now it's starting to affect my well-being and my peace. So I've got to take the time to fix this. So when you look at your junk drawer, it's like, okay, I've got to fix this. I've got to start dealing with this. No one's asking you to deal with it all at one time because that would be very overwhelming. But you got to start somewhere, and you got to start pulling those things out a little bit at a time. I don't know what it is for you. Sometimes it might be unforgiveness that you have. Sometimes it might be fear that you're dealing with. Maybe you feel isolated and alone and unseen. We just did an episode on our podcast about Mother's Day. A lot of times Mother's Day does not feel like a Hallmark card. You feel neglected and rejected, and maybe no one took the time to celebrate you. Maybe you're a single mom and you didn't have anyone to celebrate you, and you're dealing with a special needs child that doesn't even have the ability to be able to celebrate you, and you're a caregiver 24/7. So Mother's Day doesn't look like the Hallmark holidays or getting breakfast in bed or getting taken out to dinner or whatever that might be. So you're dealing with isolation, loneliness, and feeling unseen. Sometimes you're so overwhelmed because you're dealing with so many kids, or you're dealing with so many issues in your house. Maybe you're dealing with the tumultuous teen years, and it just seems like a never-ending battle of the attitude as they're starting to step into their self and their identity and trying to understand that. There's many seasons to motherhood, and there's many things that we carry as moms and wives. Many of the people that I minister to and talk to are special needs moms or moms dealing with an extreme situation. But honestly, it's any mom, any wife or mom that feels like there's a loss of hope. They feel like life is a battlefield. It feels like it's chaotic and they don't know how to find their way out of it. If you've let the junk drawer overflow and now it's a junk drawer house or a room or whatever that is, and it's like, I don't even know where to begin. That's how I felt in my life. I don't even know where to begin. Yes, I know I need to fix this. I need to get my health in order. I need to lose weight. My marriage is struggling. I need finances, whatever, fill in the blank, whatever that is for you. I felt overwhelmed where to start, but you just have to start with one thing at a time. So I learned to kind of let a lot of stuff go and just start working on myself versus trying to fix everything in my whole family or my marriage or my finances or whatever. And remember, you're partnering with God. He's the one that's calling you to clean up the junk drawer. He's the one that says, I'm right here with you. I will never leave you or forsake you. But we got to walk through this because we cannot move forward until you let go of these limiting beliefs, these lies that you've believed from the enemy, these lies you've believed about yourself, the inner vows that you've created, like, I will never do this. No one's ever going to treat me this way again. You kind of protect your heart. You close it off. But the problem is when you close it off, my mom used to use this example where it's like you've got these big iron doors and you slam them shut and then you lock them and then you've got this barbed wire around it. And, you're trying to protect yourself from getting hurt. But the problem is when you do that, the good can't get in too. Love can't flow in and out. You've got to break open the barbed wire and the doors and allow God to come in and start healing that broken heart. God will always restore what has been lost or broken, and He will give you beauty for ashes. So if you feel like your life is in a battle zone right now and it feels like ashes or fire all around you, that's actually a very good place to start, because at least you're recognizing and you're not numb anymore. Because a lot of times we just get numb and complacent. You're like, yep, that's just the way life is. We're not really meant to have a good life. This is just my life. I guess I just have to accept it. And we start getting into that victim mentality and pride sets in and we start feeling sorry for ourselves. Again, I've been there so many times. But when you're in this place where you feel like fire's all around you and it's a battle zone, that's actually a better place to be, because at least you're acknowledging that things are not working. Things are toxic and you got to start somewhere. And know that you don't have to do it alone. Not only do you not have to do it alone because God is walking this journey with you, but you don't have to do it alone because I'm right here with you too. You can tune in every single day and get a daily encouragement. You can tune into the Junk Drawer Mamas podcast and walk through the different items in the junk drawer with us. You can join the communities and be a part of other moms that are walking through this. You can go to your church. You can go to your local group. You can create one yourself, whatever that is. And I wasn't really in a place to create anything when I felt completely broken and alone. I had to really start dealing with just me. I had to really isolate myself alone. I had gone through a really deep tragedy when we ended our youth outreach. That was really where I found my identity, which I know now was not my identity, but I was a youth director for a youth outreach for almost 20 years, and we poured everything into it, and we lost everything. We lost all of our finances. We almost lost our marriage. We lost our building that we put everything into, and it was a very devastating time, and it was 7 years of healing and grieving and letting that go before God decided to launch this. And now I'm in a place where I'm in the healing place. I'm not saying I'm perfectly healed, but I'm in a place now where I can now start to speak into other people's lives. But there will be a time where you got to disconnect from everybody. And you might just be in survival mode and you're barely keeping yourself together and you're barely feeding your family and keeping them safe. But there will come a time where you can thrive in all areas of your life. I promise you, you will be able to thrive in all areas of your life. And that does not mean that everything in your life is going to look like puppies and rainbows. I'm saying that you'll be able to thrive in your well-being, you'll thrive in your mental health and your physical health. You'll be able to thrive with joy that surpasses all understanding. You'll be able to thrive in your mindset, on how you see yourself and your identity. You'll be able to take up that authority against the real enemy, even if things around you still kind of look like a battle. That's really where the specially empowered mom comes in. She's working through her junk drawer. That's what it is. We live in the junk drawer, but a specially empowered mom says, okay, today, what part of the junk drawer am I going to work through? And when she starts getting where, she gets complacent and the junk drawer starts filling back up again, then she's like, okay, it's time for me to start doing that. But she's intentional about it. She doesn't become a victim and she doesn't say, oh, it's this person's fault, or if that would change, then I could do that. She's like, nope, this is on me. Even if I allowed it, it's on me. I've got to get this together. I've got to get my health together. I got to stop eating like crap and start getting some exercise and sleeping better, managing my stress, and being kind to myself. Sometimes we are not kind to ourselves, whatever that might be, and you can tell because it starts coming out in your behavior and everything else. We start yelling and all that. I'm definitely one of those people that was a yeller, still can be sometimes. So anyway, I really just wanted to share that with you. I know this went much longer than I normally do, but I really just felt God telling me to really explain that we live in the junk drawer, but it's not meant for us to stay there. We're really created to be specially empowered moms and wives. We are called to be the gatekeepers. We are called to break off this curse over families and marriages and take back what the enemy has stolen. And I'm saying that's not an option for me. I am not going to go down and let the enemy have any power over my marriage or my family or anything else, or me and my physical health, my mental health. It doesn't get that power anymore. I choose life because the price that Jesus paid was hefty for me and my family and for you. So I'm not going down without a fight. It might be a day-to-day battle for me, but I am not going down without a fight. So I hope that you're still watching, whoever's watching, that you're watching this and you feel that way, because I would love to create a movement of moms that say enough's enough. I'm not living defeated. I am not living depressed. That is not my portion. God created me for greatness. He created me to stand firm against the enemy. He created me to be a specially empowered woman, mom, wife. Okay? That's really the message that I want to give you. But it starts by digging into that junk drawer and start dealing with our stuff. We got to deal with our stuff and take 100% responsibility for our lives. And remember, the creator of the universe loves you. He does have a plan for you. I know it could seem like it's a disrupted plan, but he does have a plan for you. It is good, I promise you. Do the inner work. It will get better, I promise you. And I love you. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen this long if you're still on. And I can't wait for us to be back together again. So have an awesome day. We'll bring more of this kind of content to you. I love you. Bye-bye.